Aloha, our wise shamans, wanderers, intuitive shamans, and elementals. And welcome to our little corner of the galaxy here in this dimensional space called EarthStar Spiritual Center here in Greensboro, North Carolina, United States of America. So thank you for joining us tonight. And it is Wednesday, June 26th, 2024. Our topic tonight on Simply Shaman is Talking Stick Topics with Heidi Fire Owl. And I'm Dale Stacy, your host, co-abbot of EarthStar Spiritual Center. So welcome tonight, Heidi. Heidi is an intuitive healer and seer and psychic, regular frontier gal, knows how to do lots of things mentally, physically, and spiritually. Massage therapist, energy worker, healer, lots of things you do, Heidi, lots of spiritual and metaphysical things you do. So thank you for your service to humanity and Mother Earth. So welcome tonight. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Did I leave out anything else that you would like the rest of the audience to know if they've never heard of Heidi Fire Owl?
Oh, I think you pretty much covered it. I do communicate with animals also. Yeah, nature spirit.
Communicator, yes. And you got a modesty award too, so that's okay. You should still wear that around. That's what you're wearing tonight, right? Your modesty award.
Yeah.
Right, well, let's jump right into it then, and so we can do a chat. Let me put up a banner for you. So remember, this is a live chat. So please ask questions, type in, let us know where you're viewing from, who you are. If you have any questions about mind, body, spirit topics, or anything, looks like Heidi went out. Okay, anything about mind, body, spirit topics, anything about shamanic life coaching, anything about synergy, energy healing. So just make sure you type in and do a chat and let us know who you are and what you're doing today. And if you have any questions, that'd be great. Thank you. All right, well, we'll wait a few minutes for Heidi to check back in. Wait, here she is, checking back in. Wow. There you are.
There we go.
Well, I didn't know, being an Aries, I thought you were already bored and you left. I said, okay, I'm going to have to come up with some topics now. So good.
Right. It's me over here pressing buttons that I have no business pressing, trying to figure this thing out.
So join us and give us those questions if you like, or at least just let us know where you are. Well, let's go right to a couple of slides we have. So here we are tonight doing the Talking Stick with Heidi Fire Owl. And this is June 26, 2024. If you can believe it's June, my goodness. Can you believe it's June? That's something way on out. And we are EarthStar Spiritual Center. So we are a multi-faith church, online primarily now for Living Aloha. Been doing this since 2002. Our core principles are to the left there, Aloha. So all loving God, love, oneness, heart path, and as above, so below. Okay. So tonight we're going to be with Talking Stick Heidi. So let me pull that back up. Just us. We won't need any more slides. And it looks like Beth is here. So Beth Callis, thank you for joining us. Beth in Virginia. Thank you, Beth. Is that a friend of yours, Heidi?
Yes, I love Beth. She's awesome too.
Oh, thank you, Beth, for joining us.
Yeah.
Beth, questions.
Beth actually, she makes all sorts of herbal things like this awesome like hair rinse with apple cider vinegar. She makes this elderberry, these elderberry kits that she has stocked at the little Amish market and stuff. And then she does like vendor markets and everything. So Beth, you can go on the EarthStar Facebook page and then put your information in the comments. And then, for your Flower Child botanicals. And then people can see where to get your stuff.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So Beth, just when you go to EarthStar Spiritual Center on the YouTube page. Make sure you check the live tab, and that way that'll be where we are, and you can add all that information about all those wonderful things you're doing. That'd be great. Good.
Yeah.
All right, so we kind of have open topics, and this was something new we're going to start tonight. So we have two fire people here, so Sagittarius and Aries, and this is going to be a talking stick. And for those who aren't familiar with the talking stick principle, you know, when we all sit in a circle, we have a wonderful talking stick, very ceremonial-looking wand or stick, and the person who has the stick does the talking, whatever they'd like to express or whatever they'd like to opine, and then they would pass it to the next person. So just think of it that way. And tonight, Heidi and I will pass the talking stick back and forth and just let topics come up about mind, body, spirit awareness, anything about synergy, energy healing, shamanic life coaching, ascension consciousness, aloha consciousness, wellness, calm, balance, harmony, anything of that nature. All right. And let's see. Beth said something again. Thank you so much for the shout out. Yes, Beth, thanks for joining us. All righty. All right, Heidi, well, go ahead. We'll pass the stick to you. So what do you think? How we want to start off our first talking stick YouTube production?
So first, I just want to say to anybody out there, if you guys are on, just, you know, make sure that you like the video and that you hit the subscribe button also, because, you know, there's so much going on with all of the, you know, social media things where people's, you know, everything, it's all algorithms and all that kind of stuff. So just do that. Like, you know, it just takes one little click, 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 and just hit that like button and just make sure that you do that because it means a lot. So
Yes.
I also want to say that if you are watching and if you want to ask a question about anything, you know, most of you know that I do intuitive work. So I'm willing tonight to answer some questions intuitively, whether you want to ask a personal question or whether you want to ask a general question. So I'm open for that as well. If there's a topic that you are interested in hearing me talk about, put that in the comments also, and I will, you know, I'll comment about whatever it is, you know, that you're asking or that you know, whatever topic it is you want to talk about. But something that came to me today, thinking about, you know, a topic or just a discussion was the conversations that I've had with people recently this weekend about, you know, illness or disease. I had a specific conversation with a gentleman about cancer that he's dealing with. And I just wanted to sort of talk to you guys about that for a minute. And I want to remind you that, and I always say I want to remind you because everything that I talk about, you guys already know this stuff. You just forget. And what I mean by that is that your conditioning, your environment, all of that has numbed you or dumbed you down to your innate being, to the way that we are naturally, to the way that we're created. You know, most people just forget. So the world basically has been walking around with amnesia for a long, long time because we've been so programmed to believe certain things that just are not. They're not so. And so the thing with illness, it's really, really the biggest obstacle that people have in healing, in my experience dealing with the clients that I've dealt with, is that they do not believe that they can heal, that they do not believe that they can heal.
Yes.
And that is such a lie. It is such a lie. There has been so much deception told to to everybody to have them believe that this physical body, this vehicle that we're in, does not have the ability to heal when it does. It absolutely does. It is working 24/7 to keep you in balance, to keep your system in balance, to keep you here in it. So there was a saying, Carl Jung has a saying, and he says, we are not here to heal our illnesses. Our illnesses are here to heal us. And that is so true. So if you understand, there is a whole biogenealogy process to dis-ease and to illness. And so if you can open up to understand that, and open up to understand, once you get to the symptom phase, to where you're getting a diagnosis, that those two phases come after the shock and the imprint of something that happens. So we have an illness, or we get a diagnosis of an illness based on symptoms. And those symptoms come from an imprint in our cells of a shock or trauma that we have experienced. So how it works from the beginning is, first we have this event that happens, which is a shock or trauma. Something happens. And if we are not at that time able to fully express ourselves about how we feel, we go into this, when something happens, we go into this position to where our five senses kick in, right? We feel it, we see it, we hear it, we taste it, we smell it, whatever that event is, or whatever that trauma is. So that shock and trauma activates our senses, which is a biological response. And then if we're not able to express, if we're not able to cry, if we're not able to throw up, if we're not able to, to express even verbally, this is uncomfortable for me, whatever. If we're not able to express during that time of shock and trauma, all of that and those feelings become imprinted in our cells. So if we don't express it, it becomes imprinted in us in different parts of our body.
Right. Yep.
And that stays there. So then, over the years, what happens is other things will happen that will trigger something that smells like something that happened to us 10 years ago. And then that creates another response at a cellular level where you get this expression of symptoms that are coming out. And what those symptoms are is they are actually an opportunity for you to heal that shock and trauma that happened for that imprint. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. It goes right along with our Huna Hawaiian energy training and healing, because that's why you have to do the Lomi Ho'oponopono to pull out those memories. So that's exactly like you're talking about. Those memories, all those things that happen to us, it takes up resonance inside our body. So our body is like a computer file.
Yeah.
And so all those things go there. And so that's why we have so much dis-ease along different parts of the body, because that's what's trying to get out. So yeah, you are spot on with all that. That goes right along with our Huna training.
Okay. I haven't had Huna, but yeah, I mean, that's exactly what happens. And our symptoms, so when we start having symptoms, what happens is there's actually a healing phase. So once we get past that shock and trauma, which is that stress response that we get the imprint in our cells, we move from that into this inflammatory or it's like an inflammatory or a lot of people call it a healing crisis, because we start expressing symptoms. When the body starts expressing symptoms, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm sick. I have to go to the doctor, or I have this or that. I don't know what it is. I have to go to the doctor. So when you go to the doctor, they are going through this checklist of symptoms, like, blah, blah, whatever your symptoms are. And they are going to give you a name for that, for all those symptoms, together. So they're going to say, oh, you have Crohn's disease, you have, whatever, arthritis, for, inflammation in the joints. And basically, the symptoms that your body is expressing are an opportunity for you to heal the shock and trauma if you do not mask it, if you don't squish those symptoms, if you don't try to avoid what it is that's coming up or what you're feeling. So if you are taking medications, synthetic medications, if you're taking those based on your symptoms to try, you're just masking the symptoms. Basically, you're putting, electrical tape over your check engine light is what you're doing. Right. And eventually that car is going to break down anyway. Yeah. So people ask me about herbal medicine. People ask me about medicine, and how I deal with, symptoms or things that come up is there is a time and place for everything. I believe in emergency medicine. I do not subscribe, me personally, I do not subscribe to medicine just for symptoms. I do not prescribe, I do not sign up for that.
Yes.
Herbs are basically to be treated the same. There's so many people that just use herbal medicine like willy-nilly. They have this or that, and or they're on a trillion supplements every day and all of this stuff. There's a time and a place for all of that also. Yep. So, yes, our body, we have this response to all this stuff right now that's happening. Our soil is depleted, things like that. So we do need to supplement in certain ways. But, if you're eating food that is grown, that has nutrition, you're not going to have to supplement as much.
Right.
So getting back to the phases of disease or illness, and that basically, when you understand that your symptoms are coming from, or your diagnosis of symptoms are coming from a shock and trauma. And here's another piece of that. It could possibly be generational. So it could possibly be because what happens is, if that shock and trauma is so severe that your mother does not heal from whatever shock and trauma she's been through. There's a lot. My mom experienced huge shock and trauma in Germany with when the East and West, got invaded and or separated, and her father was captured and put in a POW camp, and her mom had all these babies, all these kids, and they got left without their father. And that whole war situation, that whole separation, she never fully healed from all of that. So when she got pregnant, that there's an imprint in her eggs from that. So some of that shock and trauma of that separation was passed down to us in our DNA.
Yes.
And so, just to be, forthcoming here, I was diagnosed with Lyme actually in 1992. And in learning about Lyme has to deal with connection and separation because of where the viruses mutate and where the viruses hide actually in the joints and behind the joints. And that's one of the reasons why also it's very difficult to diagnose Lyme and why a lot of people get misdiagnosed, because it's a sneaky bioweapon. But the actual metaphysical part, the metaphysical healing of Lyme is about healing connection, separation, and then you will, find that your joints and your ligaments and things like that will start to heal a little bit more. Does any of that make sense to anyone?
It makes big sense. And it sounds like when you talk about all the stress your mama had and things like that, I think that's what's called epigenetic stress. And that gets passed on to the child. even though it's not in the DNA, it's the stress, that energy gets into the mother's body, and it gets passed on to the child just through environmental stresses. Yeah, so you're right on with that. And, when you were speaking about the symptoms earlier, and, it kind of remind me, just like with our HUNA training, how it's all stored in the body, and it does want to get out. So it wants to express itself, so you'll do something about it. And symptoms are just like, whenever you get a splinter or something in your finger, your body will push it out. So you'll do something about it. And that's what symptoms are. Your body is pushing this out, so you will do something about it. But it's like you said, it's not to take medicine that will only cure the symptoms. We don't want that. We want to get to the root causes. Yeah. So that's great. Yeah. That's great info. Yeah. Help people get to the baseline, the foundation of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important, you mentioned epigenetics. So Bruce Lipton, he wrote a book, The Biology of Belief, and it's all about epigenetics. And epigenetics means above your genes. So people used to come all the time for healing, and they would say, they'd bring their big bag of medicine and they'd say, I'm trying to get off of this, and I would tell them, okay, you can do this, you can heal. And then, the people that still had that ingrained belief system would say, well, my mama had diabetes, my daddy had diabetes, my grandma had diabetes, so I'm going to have diabetes. And I'm like, no, you don't have to have diabetes. So that whole epigenetics is the study of the biology of belief, and the belief that, if you have that belief that you had, that your mom had this and your grandma had this, and and so that means that you're going to have it. Well, hell, you are going to have it.
Yes.
So I remember, years and years and years ago, when I went to the doctor, before I didn't go to the doctor, I just remember I had been passing out at work a lot, and just having all kinds of issues. And so I had to go to the emergency room. The ambulance came and all that stuff. And they wanted me to fill out all these forms. And I'm like, what the heck is all this stuff? And I'm telling you, for some reason, I was like, this just does not seem right. Like, why am I answering all these questions about like my parents? They're asking me like my parents' health history and this and that, and whatever. And I'm just like, that has nothing to do with me. And so, it does and it doesn't. So how I got was, my mom, her cancer, we all have cancer genes in us, and her cancer activated. And, when people would ask me, or, when I ended up in the emergency room, they would say, does any of your parents have cancer, whatever. And I'm like, no, because they're automatically going to go to that, and that is going to give them this basis for something that it may not even be that.
Yes.
So I had this whole experience with these cancer diagnoses, and literally to the point where I canceled a biopsy at 8 o'clock that morning when I was supposed to be at the hospital, because I'm like, something is not right about this. And then I just started taking healing into my own hands and, learning about all of this. Now, I will say that when we're talking about epigenetics, understand that yes, there are things, there are shock and trauma. And in fact, there's all sorts of things, chemicals. I tested positive for Agent Orange. My dad was in Vietnam. So understand that through the sperm, things do get passed down also, if it's not healed. So the thing though is understanding that just because your family has this history does not mean that you have to carry that on. So the whole study of epigenetics, which again means above your genes, means that, the whole biology of belief plays into that, where if you believe that you are your genetics and that you are not going to be able to get above that, well, then that's going to be so. So Bruce Lipton is a really good source. He's got great videos about epigenetics and different healing modalities, different things that you can do to help yourself get out of that, biology of belief that you are that you are not above your genes, because you are.
And just to mention here, Heidi, just let folks know now, Heidi and I we're not doctors, so we're not dispensing medical advice. We're just sharing information from other cultural practices and beliefs and spiritual outlooks on things. Do your own research, do your discernment, and discuss anything we've talked about tonight. Discuss it with your health professional to see what kind of opinion they could give you about what we're talking about. Yeah. So thank you, Heidi. Keep on. You're doing great. Good stuff. Yeah, we're hitting the gamut. Now we're going all over. That's great stuff. So right on the 27-minute mark. So we have squandered almost a half an hour already. Goodness. Well, so just keep going then. We're good.
Well, I just really, in having this conversation with this person, they were asking me, basically was asking me about supplements and herbs and things like that, because he's chosen to stop the chemotherapy because he said, it was killing him, making him really sick, and, all of that kind of stuff. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not prescribing anything. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm giving you information based on my education and experience. And, the biggest thing that I can tell people is that there is a time and place for everything. Again, I do not believe in, just using medicine. I believe in emergency medicine.
Yeah.
And that's it. And, an example, I had a torn ACL, and is it okay to go get an x-ray and, find out, what exactly is going on? Sure. If they want to do surgery or give me pills, no, this is as far as I go. I know what it is and I'll take care of it myself. And I did. And, there are, because I do know that the body will heal if we, treat it right and we give it what it needs. And so my whole thing is just about this topic is to explain to people that, you have these symptoms and people have healed their cancer. They've healed brain tumors. There's things people talk about where they say, this miracle healing, has happened. These people have put in the work to heal that emotional or you know, the imprint from whatever shock and trauma has caused that. There is always an emotional component to your symptoms.
Yes.
And the other thing that's really important to understand is that when you are having symptoms and when you are in this inflammatory state, that is such a beautiful, beautiful place to be, even though sometimes it hurts like fuck. And sometimes it's just, you are just like, I can't take this. I promise you, if you just keep working through that, that is the healing crisis. That's where the magic happens. If you can get through all of that, you know, so many people just don't want to feel pain. We're just taught like to numb out, to you know, to here, take this and you won't feel pain.
Yep.
Pain is magical. It's magical. It is, I mean, that is where the magic happens. That's where the healing happens. So once you get through that, and you will, and you will, you know, people just start to give up. They start to lose hope and all of that. And that's why it's really important to, you know, find some healing modalities, find some support during that time to help you get through those symptoms. Because trust me, I truly, truly mean it when I say, you know, that is the magic. And I think, Dale, you know, I told you about this before, but I totally recommend to all my clients, I say, go watch the movie King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. It is, I mean, if you want to know how to heal, watch that movie.
Yeah, and that's
because
the one
it's amazing.
with Charlie Hunnam in it, right?
Yes.
The guy that played on Sons of Anarchy. Yeah, that guy Jax. Yeah, he's in it. Yeah.
Yeah, that hottie.
That is one. Nice looking guy. He is good looking. Yeah, you know, the pain thing, you know, when you mention that, it's almost like when I think about how when God made us, it was like, okay, we're going to have to let them know they need to pay attention to something. So we're going to put over 40, I think it's almost 45,000 miles of nerves in the body. We're going to have to do something because I don't know if these folks are going to be bright enough to know, hey, your arm has got a cut. That's why it hurts. You got to do something about it or you're going to bleed to death. It's almost like those things are there. So pay attention to that, like you said, and deal with it. You know, just don't ignore it and go on, oh, it'll just take care of itself. Well, you know, it'll heal faster if you'll spend some time dealing with it. Yeah. That's just wonderful, simple advice. But in our fast-paced world, we forget about that because we're you know, because of the pharmaceuticals, it's easy to go buy a pill. I'll just take a pill. You know, like folks that are on they have diabetes issues and they go, well, I'm on metformin and other medicines, so I'll keep on eating like I've always eaten. Well, you can't do that. I mean, you know. So we have to manage all that yourself. So please do that. Yeah, it's a mind, body, spirit healing. And remember, from a spiritual standpoint, our default nature is to be well and happy. So find out what's causing you not to be well and happy and do something about that. Yeah. That's great stuff. Yes. Wonderful. All right. So we got epigenetics. We are talking about pills. We're talking about mind, body, spirit, wellness, healing, talking about looking at symptoms, how that even coincides with our Huna Hawaiian training. You know, but the symptoms are letting you know, work on this. This is what we need to work on right now. So it's coming out because all that constantly comes out of the body. The cells are like computer files and all that information comes out to help us to do something about it. So make sure that you're not so busy that you aren't able to pay attention to yourself and your own self-healing, because it's very important to do that. And, you know, once you do that a few times, you start to gain a little confidence in that, just like you do other things.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, pay attention to that and be responsible and own your own self-healing. Yeah. You'll be surprised how fast you get back on track. If you spend some time with that. Whether it's prayer, meditation, eating the right things, doing the right things, listening to your doctors as far as your healing, as far as you can do it. I mean, just listen and learn about everything. Research it, find out what are other people doing. Ask people. Ask people who are happy and well, or maybe a friend or a relative that had this particular dis-ease that you had, and you notice, well, they're all over it. Well, go talk to them. What did you do? How did you heal? How long did it take? What were some things you wish you
too, and also too, one of the things that I love to do is I love to dissect for people where their illness is coming from. Yes. Based on where the illness is showing up and the symptoms that are showing up in their body. So every part of your body indicates, wherever your shock and trauma is stored, it indicates a metaphysical component. So I love to dissect for people, what their illness is.
Would you say that again, Heidi? It kind of cut out on us.
I love to dissect for people, what their illness is. So basically, I'll just tell you, this is a very broad thing, but broadly, cancer is anger that eats you from the inside out. So every person that has cancer has anger. And where that anger emotion is located is going to tell us another story. Yes. And I think Carolyn Mace used to say all the time in all her seminars that, your biography is your biology. So everything in your body biologically is going to tell your story. And so for me, one of the intuitive parts of, gifts that I have is to be able to, I see the body. People used to always say, when they would come in and I would ask them right off, like, are you having this? And they would say, how do you know that? So I have this sense where I can see a person's body almost similar to an X-ray machine. It's the weirdest thing. I can't explain it. I don't even know how to put it into words.
No explaining. So, it's a spiritual gift.
Yeah. So I'm able to do that. And I'm also able to take that and then intuitively tap into the trauma and the shock that person experienced. So I'm able to help them through that, basically healing the root cause of it. Now, if you don't want to heal that because it's too painful, you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to deal with it, you just, okay, you're done, that's all, you don't even, because a lot of people would just shut down. Once I say, did this happen? Or, do you want to talk about this? And then a lot of people will just shut down. So when that happens, understand that you're creating another imprint. And so then more symptoms are going to show up after the fact.
Yeah.
So, again, I encourage you to watch King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Keep an open mind with the metaphors and all the symbolism in there from a healing perspective. Not just, watching this awesome movie, but from a healing perspective. It's incredible. And then just, again, I just encourage everybody to understand that your symptoms are to help you. And, just to try to, find some healing modalities or people or books or videos or anything that will help you, get through that and to understand where those symptoms are coming from.
Yes, that's great. Just like Louise Hay, if you've ever read one of her books, or if you suggest you find Louise Hay's book, Heal Your Body. And she has the disease listed, and she has the mental thinking that may have contributed to that dis-ease. It's a very thin book. So Heal Your Body, I think it's less than $10. So yeah, that's a wonderful book to have in your healing library. Well, that's great, Heidi. Thank you for all the wonderful, wonderful talking stick topics tonight. Wow, in our inaugural push to bring it out in this format. So how wonderful. And thank you, folks, for joining us tonight. Not only those who are here tonight, but also those on replay. And please share this with folks you think that would enjoy it. And remember, try to subscribe to the channel so we can have a more algorithm success with getting the word out and having these wonderful topics. So thank you, Heidi, for taking the time to be here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. So, but really, it was wonderful, wonderful information, Heidi. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All that you know, and we know that's not all you know. It's just a small portion of what you got tucked away in your mind, body, and spirit. So thank you for being here on Mother Earth as a healer and as a teacher. So thank you for sharing that so freely. So thank you so very much. Good. All right, well, let's go pow, and we'll close out on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3, pow. Good. Got that delay. There we go. Good. So hope everyone has a wonderful weekend or wonderful rest of the week. It's just Wednesday. And enjoy this beautiful warm weather. Because remember how it is when it was all we were in deep winter. You couldn't wait for summer. Well, here we are in summer. So be careful what you ask for, right? So thank you, Father, Son, for being here. So thank everyone for being here. So take care. Have a wonderful week. And remember, we love you. And also remember, be the aloha in every moment. Okay? All right. Take care. And we'll talk to you soon. Aloha. See you, Heidi.
Bye.